Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson on the Big Guy Sports Podcast on USBN Sports. And joined always with my co-host, Steve Ellis. And Steve, I'll tell you what, growing up, I was in awe of our next guest. And I'll tell you what, he lived real close to me in some of the states. And I tell you what, this guy can shoot the basketball, can he?
Oh, absolutely. Me and you went to all the games when he was playing with Frank and playing for Coach Sanders, and what a legend. And I'll tell you, not too many people, Danny, can say that they were on back-to-back league titles, won the city championship in '82, their senior year, I believe.
Yep.
And just, the player that he became in basketball. So, yeah, it's great for me to talk to him.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We were wanting to get Tim a long time and just trying to figure out how we're going to do it. And Frank, thankfully, helped us out. And so joining us, as we said, is Tim Ferguson. And Tim, really thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm just glad to. I was happy when you guys sent me an email asking about it. So sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yes, sir. Hall of Fame.
Hey,
and,
that was a lot of fun a few years ago, and really enjoyed being up there. And Frank, kind of taking the role, getting me in there, stuff like that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was I remember I was there. It was a great night. And, Tim, we've always kind of talked about this with everybody. It's just, like I said, I lived in some of the states, and I remember seeing that basketball goal on the side of your house there. I lived on Lindenwood, and then we moved to Clemson, but I always remember seeing you out there. And just talk a little bit about what it was like growing up, growing up in Anderson.
Oh, I think looking back on it, it just so many happy memories. That's funny. I don't even know how I learned to shoot on that basketball hoop, because the driveway went about like this.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I mean, I just remember being out there putting gloves on in the winter and just constantly being out there, just having fun. I mean, some of the states was, that was the place to live back then. I mean, everybody seemed like, if there was just friends everywhere. And, you rode your bike everywhere. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, Tim, and Danny alluded to shooting baskets, and obviously, you ended up being a total stud shooter by the time your junior and senior year. But I think you played some other sports too. I think I remember, didn't you pitch for Anderson too? Weren't you a pitcher?
Yeah. I think your brother gave me the nickname Meatball. So you can thank Brad for that. And,
ask him.
But yeah, I played baseball for my whole life, but I up at freshman and sophomore year, and then I played my junior or senior year. Once basketball kind of took off, I just, that was the sport I really wanted to play.
Right. Well,
you guys keep freezing up on me.
Oh,
I'm up. Okay. I'm gonna move this.
We've done it. We've done it before. It's all good.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I got to go somewhere where it's not so.
No big deal.
Where it's a little bit better here. So
all good. So speaking of Frank and those teams you played on, you're back-to-back league titles, won a city title, and Danny and I talk all the time when we can kind of recite most of the games that you played in, and your starting lineup that you had Frank Brandy, Tony Dunaway, Tim Ferguson, Ronnie Evans, and who am I missing?
Joe Dayton.
Joe Dayton, the animal. Yeah. And you had all the pieces, and what a great couple of seasons for sure. And I don't know if you know this, Tim, but in the history of Anderson High School boys basketball, I think they've only won either 4 or 5 titles, league titles, and you were on 2 of them, which is quite a feat. And so talk a little bit about those 2 years and the players you played with, and obviously talk about Coach Sanders.
Yeah, well, again, going back and looking, what's funny is that we're still talking about it, and it reminded me going back for the Hall of Fame, and just we were back for a few years ago for our 30th thing too. And it was, and, you know, my wife was with me there, and she got to see Anderson play Turpin, and the place was packed.
Oh, nice.
And she went home. She thought it was so funny that all the Anderson kids, you know, when they were announcing the Turpin guys, that they would stand backwards and you know, and I said, hon, I said, that's just what it was like. I mean, the gyms were packed. Steve, I could just picture your dad underneath one of the, he stood underneath the basket, you know, the whole time.
Yep.
You know, and it was some special time. I think the neat thing about those 2 years, though, and really the starting five for my senior year, you know, we were the starting five our freshman year with Jerry Dockery. We were the starting five our sophomore year with Coach Center.
Yeah.
You know, our junior year, it got, you know, split up with Deeds and Fleming and Cameron DeVente and some of these guys. But Tony was there, Frank was there. I mean, it's just, you know, and then the senior year, we had just been playing together for so long.
Right.
I think it might even been eighth grade. I mean, it was just, you know, it was just that there. But I mean, those 2 years were special to me, especially looking back. I mean, just a load of fun. I mean, junior year beating Oak, you know, that game that clinched the district title, and, you know, just a loads of fun. So.
Well, you know, no need to be bashful here, Timmy. I'm going to give you some stats here. So your junior year, you hit the game winner at Oak Hills, I believe, to win the league title. Is that right?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember Coach Sander calling the play in the huddle.
Yep.
And we had about, I don't even know, 6 seconds left or whatever, and they were in a zone. I mean, I remember them being in a zone, and I started out in the corner, went in, and we kind of switched pick and went back out to the corner and got the ball and went in.
Yeah, and you know, another feat, Danny, I don't know if you know this, is that that Tim's senior year, he led the city in scoring.
I do remember that. And I want to say one thing: if there's ever a 3-point line back then, I mean, he would have destroyed all kinds of records back then.
Yeah,
I like to think so, but
yeah,
I do too.
But who knows? Who knows?
Oh, we know, Tim. No, I think you probably would have averaged at least 5 more points.
Absolutely.
You know, I think even Coach Sanders said it. You know, I couldn't dribble, so I mean, I had to be out there shooting. So, you know, it did help me to be out there. So,
yeah, no, it's very cool. You know, and that's very cool that your wife got to see the Anderson Turpin rivalry and stuff like that, and you know, all those games, you know, were so packed and exciting and just electric, and you know, sold out for some of those games, but especially when it came to almost like an east side, west side thing with Oak Hills, because that was not just for the league title, but that was basically for the city championship.
Right.
So, I mean, how cool was those games?
Oh, I mean, you know, I just remember, I mean, you know, the games at Oak Hills, I'm not even sure we had beaten Oak Hills at Oak Hills until my junior year. I mean, or at least it had been a long time, just because that was always such a rivalry and such a hard fought game. And then, but I remember one of the games at Anderson, and we just took it to them, and we were in a 1-3-1 zone, and I remember reading the article in the paper about the, you know, because I think Dayton was, you know, he was on the top, and we would be double teaming these guys, and we stole so many, or he stole so many balls, and we just were able to kind of take it to him. So it was just, again, just, you know, a lot of just great memories, just looking back on that.
No.
We had Coach Sanders on earlier this year, and just what an awesome guy Coach Sanders is, and you know, talking to him, and he was the same way. Just love the memories, love talking about you and all your teammates, and let's talk a little bit about what it was like playing for him, because he seemed like it was a great coach to play under.
Say that again. You broke up on me.
I'm sorry. We had Coach Sanders on. We got to talk to him and to talk a little bit about what it was like to play for Coach Sanders.
Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about that a lot since you guys emailed me just the last couple of days, and you know, again, I think we're still talking about this because of him,
Right.
and not because of his coaching that year or whatever. But just some of the memories. I mean, I remember. Well, first of all, I mean, I went to his basketball camps. I mean, from when I was in junior high. I mean, I went to his basketball camps. You guys might not know this, but my brother, Paul, he's 9 years older than I am. He played on Coach Sanders' first team.
Oh,
When
wow.
he got to Anderson. I played on the last team.
Oh, wow.
So, just kind of a, little thing. But I used to go to his basketball camps. And then probably the coolest thing that I think he ever did that just, again, I think it just set the example for, man, basketball's it at Anderson was, I think we did it in 7th grade. I know we did it in 8th grade at least once, but he had the 8th grade team, and I think the 7th grade team come over and practice with the varsity.
Wow.
And I just remember, I mean, it was guys like Mark Reed and Rick Elliott and Kevin Galbraith and these, and I just, you just looked up to these guys. First of all, you're going to basketball camp and they're working with you, and then you're going to their practice, and really we didn't do much in the practice except watch, but we ran layups with them. We did some shooting drills and stuff like that. And then he did it when we were there, when we were the seniors, and and stuff like this. And so he just, he created a culture. And I mean, he was there for 10 years and he created a culture that we're still talking about today.
Right.
And I think, again, I mean, everything we thought about, everything we did, I mean, between Frank, myself, I mean, other guys that were playing, we just played basketball all the time. I mean, we would find a hoop, at one point we had some summit, me and 2 other guys, well, Frank, and we had, I think Tom Brenneman even played some a little bit, and then we played the guys from Watch Hill, and we would go over there, they'd come over to the summit, and we would, our parents were having to take us. We're not driving yet. So, but I think that's what Coach Sanders did. He just set a culture of competition, of just the love of basketball. And I think it all kind of culminated in those 2 years, in those his last 2 years, and my junior and senior year. So,
yeah, Tim, the game that I'll never forget. I don't know if this is going to bring up bad memories or not, but I'm so excited to watch your senior year take on Moeller, take on Byron Larkin. I remember, I'll never forget going to Anderson Middle School and waiting to take a bus to go to Oxford to go to that game, and how the community was just so excited. And it's I mean, it was a memory that I'll never forget, but I'm sure it's one that you probably want to kind of forget. But that was a great game, and Byron Larkin just was on fire that day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a great game. I fouled out of the game,
right?
So wasn't, a little frustrated there, and had some dumb fouls. In fact, the recruiter from UT Chattanooga was there after the game and kind of was, kind of giving me a little bit of a hard time for a couple of the fouls I had. But it was, but what a fun game. And we ran in. And again, I think we thought we had this thing, and it was we just ran into a little buzzsaw, Byron Larkin, and just kind of happened. But yeah, not a great memory. Kind of a fun little memory though for me. The invention of Facebook. I got a message, I don't even know, probably 6 or 7 years ago, from a guy named Reggie Nettles. I don't know if you guys remember Reggie. I think he played for Forest Park.
Yeah. Sure.
And stuff. And it was just one of these things. I mean, I'd probably been on Facebook 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden I get a thing from Reggie Nettles saying, "Hey, who did you guys lose to your senior year in the going to the state?" He says, "We were sitting around talking about it the other day," and I said it was Moeller, and he says, "That's what I thought. Somebody else was saying it wasn't." So it was just kind of a fun little thing. I mean, I think a lot of people expected us to do better than we did. So
that was just an incredible run. I know I was devastated. It took me a while to get over that one, and I was only in the 8th grade, so that kind of killed me back then. And I know it did Steve too. I mean, it was I just remember going to those games and people were sitting on the floor during those games and just playing the another one bites the dust and those towels and just,
That's right.
Yeah.
the atmosphere was just crazy. That's what I think, for us, it rubbed off for Steve and I. And,
Yeah.
that stuff rubbed off when we play because we were so excited to be a part of Anderson basketball because of you guys.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I'm fairly sure that my dad was probably the most devastated. He was the one,
he probably was.
the biggest fan of you and Frank and Joe and all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a ton of fun. I mean, you look a lot like him. I mean, it's almost a little scary. Looking down because I feel like I'm looking at him when
Okay.
I look at you on the screen here, but he was, I mean, and he was so encouraging to me. Anytime I saw him, he just was, he was so happy with what we were doing and just always there. And he was Mr. Anderson for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that.
No doubt about it. And Tim, you kind of talked about you had your coach there for UT Chattanooga. Talk a little bit about that recruiting process. I know it's a lot different now than it was back in the day. Was it kind of crazy for you, or what was that kind of like for you then?
A little bit. I mean, I think, back then you just got letters. And so I think Coach Sander gave me, he'd give me a stack of letters every day. And you go back and you read them and you fill stuff out. And then guys would call you and stuff. But he, obviously he was pretty instrumental in me going to Chattanooga, and it just kind of, that's where he went. And, and so when I went and made my visit down there, I kind of fell in love with it, like the coaches, like the people around it and everything. And so you made the decision to go down there.
That's a pretty awesome story. I was getting ready to say why you picked it. Well, you just answered that question right there. I mean, loving the coaches and what it was like. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think he still holds the free throw shooting record.
Is that right?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, he did back when I was there at 94%. I doubt anybody beating it.
Yeah.
Nobody works on it anymore. Yeah. So what was that experience like going down there? How was the transition from playing in Anderson and going down there? Everybody's obviously, as good and big and strong. How did that all go for you? Was that a shell shock, or how was all that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty shocking, but it was a great experience. I really, I mean, I stepped into a team that was really good. I don't know if you guys, we ended up my freshman year ranked 17th in the country, and we had, I did, one of the guys who I guarded every day in practice was Gerald Wilkins. And so he was coming in he came in as a sophomore and I was a freshman, and they say, here, this is who you're kind of competing against. So I got a lot better, down at UTC, just playing with these guys every day, and just the grind of Division I basketball and what all that was. But yeah, just a great experience though.
Yeah. Well, I got to coach with Frank at Anderson for 19 years, and all those years since you've been there and Frank was there, I can't remember maybe one or two guys since you that have gone on to play Division I basketball. So it's really cool that, Danny, we're talking to a guy that played Division I, because other sports, football's had it obviously, and some other soccer and stuff like that, but this is a rare one that the Division I scholarship winner here in Tim Ferguson, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
So what kind of games? I mean, can you remember some of those games you played? Obviously, you said the freshman year you guys were really good. I mean, was there some big time games that you remember when you were there?
Oh yeah. My claim to fame is I got to at least play in the same court as Michael Jordan.
Really?
Kind of lost you there. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
we played North Carolina, which they had just won the national championship the year before.
Yeah.
And so what Dean Smith would do is he would go play his seniors. He would go play in their hometown. So they had a point guard, Jimmy Braddock, I think was his name, and he was from Chattanooga. And so we got to play North Carolina. I just got done watching the championship game, and 4 months later they're coming to Chattanooga. We're playing them in the Roundhouse. I think we only lost by like 6, I think, or 8 or something like that. I mean, it was a pretty close game. And then the next year we got to go play them there, and that was not as close of a game, but we did get to go there. And but probably the biggest game my freshman year was we did make it to the NCAA tournament. So we won the conference tournament, and then so 1983 NCAA tournament, NC State won it that year. Remember on that
Sure, the last
shot, and so we went to Houston and we played Maryland in the first round. And that was when they had, Len Bias, Adrian Branch, and they had these guys that were they were all freshmen at the time.
Wow.
And so we were actually again, no 3-pointers. That was the last year that there wasn't a 3-pointer in basketball, in college basketball. And so we were ahead by 1 point with about 12 seconds left to go in the game. We were up by 12 at like halftime. And so our point guard gets fouled and goes to the free throw line for a 1-on-1. And so he makes actually probably wasn't even 12 seconds, probably like 6. But so he makes both free throws, it's done really. And so he missed the front end though. And they got the rebound, got it to half court, called a timeout. And again, there's just a few seconds left, and they got the ball into Len Bias, and he hit a turnaround jumper, just about 17-footer, and just buried it, and we lost by 1 point. So
wow.
So if we'd have won, we'd have played Houston that Saturday.
Oh.
Phi Slamma Jamma. So
yes.
Wow.
Would have been kind of fun, but
that would have
we got sent home. So
that's
we had a lot of big games that year. That was we played Tennessee that year, and there's a lot of good stuff.
That's all.
What a great experience. That's awesome. So I kind of brought it up earlier, but I want to go back over it again and talk about you going into the Anderson Hall of Fame and what an honor that is, and well deserved for you and what you accomplished. And when we do these podcasts, Tim, there are lots of people, alumni from before you to all the way up until recent years of graduating, that love watching these. And talk a little bit about what that experience was going into Hall of Fame and what it meant to you and your family.
Well, getting the call from Frank just kind of shocked me, to be honest with you. I was it's one of those things that made you real happy, I guess. But he called me and told me what was going on, and in fact I delayed it a couple of years, because I guess they do it every other year, and my middle son was playing football in college, and so the first year we couldn't. It was kind of tough. I had to miss, and the whole family wouldn't have been able to be there, so we did push it back to, I guess, 2018. When we did it, and so it just worked out really good. I mean, I got 3 kids, and one of them's married now, so his wife was able to come as well, and my brother my brother from Evansville came up with his wife, and then Becky and Carl. Obviously, that's in Cincinnati. We stayed with them and stuff. So, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun just taking them back to Anderson. Letting them see and we had been back there before, but just in this setting was a lot of, just a lot of fun. And they were a little bit older now too. And I think just being able to see a lot of things, like from my whole family to be there with me.
Yeah, it was
very cool. So
it was a great night. I mean, all the I forget, the guys playing football, Norwell, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but
Mans.
yeah,
Yeah.
what a cool, just the whole seeing everybody there was pretty cool. In fact, I think my brother knew there was a diver, wasn't there? Was a diver from like
Yeah.
back, and I think my brother knew him. Because I mean, my whole family went to Anderson as well, so it's just again, it's just a good time. I think there's so much history with this, and again, you guys doing this, you're just keeping everything alive for everybody, which is even more awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to for you to meet and see those football players, because as Danny alludes to all the time, is that since we were out of school, and since you were out of school at Anderson, the football team wasn't so great back in those years, and boy did they turn it around back in the late 80s and early 90s, and then winning a state championship. So yeah, I mean, you got to meet a couple of those big boys, and I'm not quite so sure they were running to the halls back then when you were at Anderson.
No, I think my 4 years at Anderson, I think we won 4 football games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It was not fun. I didn't play football. But yeah, those were some rough times for the football team.
Well, Tim, I'll tell you, I was part of those football teams in the 80s with Stowe, and we didn't win many games either after you graduated. So it was a rough going there for a while.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yes.
But boy, it was a rough times. But I remember my brother, I'm talking about that, Paul. I mean, he was the center on the football team. So I grew up going to all these games. They were pretty good when he was there,
right?
And stuff like that. So it was a little bit harder being, not seeing him do so well.
Yeah. Were you kind of stunned that seeing Anderson win a state championship?
Oh, I know. I mean, that's awesome.
Right?
We'd have done that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was a basketball school back in the 80s, right?
Yes, it was.
So you briefly mentioned, Tim, about your kids and your wife. So, get everybody kind of caught up on what you're doing and your kids, and what schools they went to and what they're into.
Yeah, so I've got I got 2 boys and a girl. So I've got my oldest one's 27, and he lives actually in Nashville with his wife. They're expecting their first child, our first grandbaby.
Oh,
so
great!
I'm excited. We're heading up there here in a few days just to spend some time with them. They're doing University of Florida, and then my middle son also went to Florida, played football there for 4 years, and so he lives here in St. Pete. Working for a defense contractor here, doing real well. And then my daughter, who's 20, she's a sophomore at FSU. So we're kind of a house bride at this point. That's okay. We're all good. So, and my wife and I, we've been married for 31 years, and just doing real well. We're empty nesters now, and kind of enjoying life. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
That's
great. Did you coach your kids at all growing up, or did you kind of stay away from that?
You know what? I did a little bit. So I guess they were my youngest. They were like in 4th and 2nd grade, and then I got asked to coach. I'm a pastor at our church, and we have a Christian school attached with the church and everything. And so I got asked by the basketball coach if I wanted to coach the JV team one year. And so I was able to do it for 2 years, and my boys got to, they were the water boys during that time. And I sat on the bench with him during the varsity games, and I did that for 3 years. And then I got a little bit too busy and got out of it a little bit, but really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed that. In fact, what I enjoyed probably the most was kind of supporting the head coach, because they hadn't really done some of that, but I remember that's exactly what Coach Center would do for Coach Sanders, and they just kind of made it work. And so, I mean, I just had a great model to do, and we had some decent success there. And then as my boys got older, it depended. I mean, the coach asked me to sit on the bench, a couple of times. I liked almost keeping the clock better. That way I could just kind of hang back, and I couldn't yell at the refs. I couldn't,
Right.
I couldn't do anything.
There you go.
Stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun watching my kids kind of go through that themselves.
That's great. I got one more question before we ask the big question we always end this with, is that, now Frank is now back. Frank Brandy's back at coaching Anderson again. What do you think about that, Frank coming back again?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I've talked to Frank over the years, and I know some of the struggles he's had,
Yeah.
and then I know, and when I say struggles, I mean parents, and I know Coach Sanders had those struggles as well, and so I mean, I think every coach has those things, but I think for him to do this, I mean, for him to coach for 20 years and get out, and now to be able to come back and ask, I mean, what character I think that reveals in somebody, and everything. So I think it's awesome that he's able to come back and lead them as a head coach.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty well this year. And he's got a big one tomorrow. He's got the old rivalry tomorrow. He's got the old Terp Spartans.
Oh, really? Okay.
One tomorrow.
Very cool. How are they doing? I mean,
They're 9-2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, doing well.
Yes.
And maybe you can help us out here, Tim, because Frank, who never saw a shot that he didn't like when he played, he's this defensive coach. Can you tell us about whether or not Frank played any defense in high school? Because I remember what I saw, but you tell me what you said.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
I like him too much to listen. I get blamed for not seeing a shot that I didn't like either.
Yeah.
So we let Joe Dayton play all the defense, and that way we could go down and score. I mean, it's just.
Well, Joe guarded all 5 players. He was that scary.
Yes.
Yeah, he was really good. So we're going to go ahead and try to wrap this up real quick, but we got always a question that we always ask at the end, and we kind of talked a little bit about before, Tim, is just if you can go back and give us one of your favorite memories from high school, then maybe in college, and then also maybe one of either your favorite coaches or teacher.
Wow, that's a lot. I'll say this. One of my favorite coaches. I mean, Coach Sander. I mean, he's by far. I mean, just the impact he had on my life was huge. So he ranks up there really, really high, if not the highest. But I tell you, Jerry Frickman, our 8th grade coach. You guys remember him?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I can remember sitting in his classroom and him teaching us, you put on 2 socks when you play basketball. This is just how you get dressed. He literally just from the basics and just probably my senior year, we were talking to him, and he was just happy for the success we were having. And he says, I can remember when you were in 7th grade, Mr. Ryan, the basketball coach for 7th grade, wanted to cut you. And he says, I just told him, I said, listen, I said, the guy's in the right place at the right time. He just can't make a shot. He's going to get better. and so, but I look back on him and I just had really just great memories from our 8th grade year. And I even remember him, kind of sitting me down and telling me that I was going to start. Because I mean, I think the first 5 or 6 games I hadn't even gotten a game, and all of a sudden he comes to me and says, I think the only way I'm going to get you in the game is if I start you. I'm like, okay. And so just a lot of good memories from Coach Frickman for sure, and stuff like that. So favorite memory of Anderson. And I think when I think of basketball, I probably think of the Oak Hills game my junior year. I mean, that was just, I mean, it was at Oak Hills, and that was the first time we had won the HCAL and who knows how long. And I think, I can, it's just that was a really, really memorable game. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so I think that was probably the highlight. But listen, we had so many my senior year
Right.
too. Just a lot of fun games, a lot of good games. So
Yeah, anyone in college?
really,
I
really,
think you already mentioned college one already. Probably the Jordan or the North Carolina one, probably. Or was there another one?
Yeah, I would almost say the game against Maryland, but I mean, listen, my claim to fame is, in fact, my son, my middle son, a few years ago actually called the press office at UT Chattanooga to say, do you guys have any pictures of my dad playing against North Carolina? And so they I don't even know how they found that because I've hardly even played. I mean, I was probably in the game in North Carolina for maybe 5 minutes, but there's a couple pictures of me in their stuff. So that was really cool that,
That's awesome.
just to verify everything that happened. But, those were just some real fun times. And like I said, I learned so much about basketball in those 4 years, and just had a really, really, really good experience.
Well,
Well, what number were you down there, Fergie? Were you 44?
34.
You were 30.
We had a guy named Willie White, he was a junior when I was a freshman, and he actually went to the Denver Nuggets for a few years. So I wasn't taking Willie's number.
I remember 44 though.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always remember that 44 in the corner. That's what I always remember. That was just some fun times for Steve and I. And Tim, we really appreciate you joining us. It's been fun going down a memory lane. I know Steve and I, that's all we talk about is that team whenever we talk basketball at Anderson High School. It's just something we're going to never, ever forget. And you supplied some great memories for us. And I know the people in Anderson are going to love to hear what you're doing and just hear the stories that you've got to provide. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
Well, listen, I appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys are keeping this alive. And Anderson, it's I think part of the reason why Anderson was such a great place to grow up, live, and it still is. Just from being up there at the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So you guys keep it up. I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Tim. No problem. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Tim Ferguson, you've been watching This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you next week.